very nice today. Yes, raise your hands. Excellent. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And how about new members? New members? Oh, even better. Wonderful. Anybody, so you're here for the first time? Great. So you've identified yourselves, those at the tables of new members and guests. Reach out, make everybody feel welcome, invite questions, and so on and so forth. I am Kate Hobby, and Brenda Lilge and I are your hosts for today. We're going to start with some serious business, although very interesting, and then move on to a party. So our effort will be to move through the serious business in good time so that we have plenty of time for socializing, birthday cake, and some fabulous live music, which I will introduce later. So let's get started. Welcome those on Zoom. So I need to stay away from the speaker.
Yeah.
I am the speaker. Okay. We're going to talk about program today, a very large word and confusing to some people. What is a program? Could we have the first slide, please?
Yes, sorry.
Meanwhile, I will tell you about it. Program is the education and advocacy kind of platform that League membership adopts at each biennial national convention. And the goal of the program planning process, which we are doing today, we're in the middle of right now all around the country, is to get us all collectively agreed on exactly how we're going to move our mission forward over the next 2 years. Let's go to the next slide, please. First, a word about our basic approach. For the last 106 years, the League of Women Voters has been firmly nonpartisan. As you can see the statement, the League shall not support or oppose any political party or candidate. But I want to add that nonpartisan does not mean non-political. Our mission is defending democracy, and that is by definition political. Okay, next slide. So program planning, we got a bunch of P's going today. We've got program principles. Program planning starts with our principles, the broad statements of belief that underlie all of the League's work. You can find the principles in detail on our website. And if you're new to the League, go to our website. It's a phenomenal resource. And if you have any trouble getting on it, this lady right here, Ellie, will help you. Okay. So you can find the principles in detail on the website, but briefly, the League believes in representative government, the individual liberties established by the Constitution, informed and active citizen participation, protection of the right to vote for every citizen, access to free public education, non-discrimination against people or groups, an equitable system of taxation, conservation and use of natural resources in the public interest, and cooperation with other nations to solve world problems. It's pretty comprehensive. So, based on these principles, let's move on. We do program planning to come up with a set of positions. There's another P. A position is a statement of the League's point of view on a particular issue, and we'll hear about a bunch of them today. Next, yeah. There are two ways that we arrive at a position. The first is through a study. A group of members proposes an issue or question, they carefully research and analyze it, there's agreement on the findings, this is a lengthy process, and then the study is approved by the appropriate board and becomes the basis for League action. So that's the study. The other way we arrive at a position is through concurrence. Here, members vote at convention to agree with a position reached by another League or League committee after they've reviewed all that background information. So they don't need to do a full study themselves to be able to act on the position. Next slide. A good example of study and concurrence is the local news and democracy position. Can we go back one? Oh, no. Forward one more. Okay. The local news and democracy position. Here is the position. It's a statement. It's a good example. The League of Women Voters of Washington believes it is the responsibility of the government to provide support for conditions under which credible local journalism can survive and thrive. So the Washington State League's Local News and Democracy Committee, led by our own Deanne Finken, with several Clark County members, published a study. They did a big study in 2022 on how the decline in local news, and I should mention that 1/3 of local papers have closed in this country, is how that's linked to reduced voter participation and civic engagement. The state adopted this position by concurrence in 2023. No? Consensus. Oh, we won't get into that. And the National League adopted it in 2024. And actions have definitely flowed from it. As we speak, the state Senate is considering a bill that would support news coverage in underserved communities through a surcharge on major social media platforms. Next slide. There are positions at the national level of the league, the state, and the local level. And they're reviewed and updated and new ones added every 2 years. What are our national positions currently? Oh, we need to flip back. That was our national. Our national positions currently, there's more than 40 of them in several broad categories. Some examples fall into, some examples of positions are campaign finance reform, presidential election by popular vote, how about that one? Arms control, climate goals based on science, and accessible health care. So you can do a deep dive into the national positions in a publication called Impact on Issues. And there's a link on our website. It's incredibly interesting. Oh, there we go. Impact on Issues. Thank you. Thank you, Ringer. National positions are the basis for action on national legislation and policy making, and they also can be used to support state and local action. And just a little aside for those who are new, what does action mean for the league? Well, preparing testimony, lobbying legislators, doing advocacy campaigns, joining a coalition, taking part in a press conference, a rally, writing letters to the editor, filing lawsuits, we've done a slew of those, monitoring and commenting when regulations are being written. The fact that we are members of not only a local, but a state and national league makes us a pretty powerful force. Today we'll be looking at the National League's program, proposed program for the next biennium, 2026 to 28. It's called Women Defend Democracy, Democracy Under Siege. And Brenda will tell us more about that in just a few minutes. Next slide. Okay, let's go down to the state level. State positions are for 2025 to 27. Positions are adopted every 2 years, so national positions happen at the national convention in even years, like this one. State positions at state convention in the odd years. And last year, 2025, we had a state convention right here in Vancouver. How many were at that? Yeah, woo, that was good. The Washington State League currently has nearly 24 positions in the areas of government, transportation, natural resources, and social policy. And you'll be hearing about some of those today. Okay, next. All right, local. Members of our Clark County League determine which issues we want to focus on locally. Small groups will research an issue and then report to the members what they've learned. We discuss the findings and come to a consensus on one or more positions to advocate. Our local league has researched and advocated for a variety of issues over the years, and we'll talk about 2 of them today, tribal justice and redistricting. So here's our process for today. You'll hear briefly from several of us about national, state, and local positions and issues that we'd like your input on. Then you'll take a few minutes to discuss these positions table by table. Finally, you'll each vote, and there are ballots at the tables with the ones with the red type. We have ballots at the tables and an online link, so you don't have to do it the old-fashioned way. You can vote today or anytime in the next week. This process Let's look at the timeline. Next slide. This process is happening in leagues all around the country. It started right after the first year, goes right through to the state convention in June. Once we have our priorities set, we'll fill out a survey by March 10, and National will use the results from all of the leagues around the country to come up with the program that they vote to adopt at convention in June. Next slide. Okay. One final point. If you were at our membership meeting last month, who was here? Yeah, you learned how important the diversity, equity, and inclusion, or variations on that phrase, are to the league's work. In considering any program or position, we apply a DEI lens to help us see how it will be perceived by and impact a variety of communities and voices and perspectives, and what barriers may exist that prevent it from being equitable or inclusive to everyone. So, let's get started. First, we'll hear from Brenda about the National League's recommended program.
Okay, are there any more paper ballots? No.
Got one up here.
They do have a QR code, so
If you're able to log in, you can take it online by using the QR code.
So we're going to take it online, I guess. For the Zoomers.
Oh, yeah, only members may vote. If you are just visiting us today, please don't vote. This is just for members.
or hustle up and become a member.
This is true. The survey will be live until the 21st. Okay, so I just want to give a brief overview of what National is proposing their new biennium program be. As Kate mentioned,
And when is that?
when is the biennium? 2026 to 2028? And the convention is in June of this year, June of 2026.
Ohio.
So be look, and it's in Columbus, Ohio. So be looking for more information. We need 4 delegates?
Well, we have them.
Oh, well, we have 4 delegates, okay.
Well, we don't have, anyway, we are eligible. We have to fill 4 delegates.
We're eligible to fill 4 delegate seats. So if this sounds like something you want to go and be a part of, talk to Tracy. On April 17th, 2025, League of Women Voters US declared that the United States was entering a constitutional crisis. As such, the League of Women Voters US Board affirmed that the foundational principles that have sustained our democracy, checks and balances, the rule of law, free and fair elections, were facing direct and sustained threats. The League called on all Americans to stand with us in this extraordinary moment to unite and rise to save our democracy. Through the 2025 inauguration of President Trump, the League advanced our campaign for making democracy work. Now, as we enter the 2026-2028 biennium, our democracy is under coordinated attack from multiple fronts. And the League of Women Voters is uniquely positioned to fight back by engaging and mobilizing voters nationwide. For more than a century, the League has shown as the mighty political experiment that our founding mothers intended. Our mission has never been so important as it is today as we work to engage and mobilize voters to protect our democracy, which George Washington, in his inaugural address, called an experiment entrusted to the hands of the American people. To that end, the League of Women Voters US Board recommends adoption by the 2026 convention of a campaign, Women Defend Democracy, Democracy Under Siege, to empower the organization to act decisively to protect and defend our democracy. The campaign will focus on voting rights, election protection, redistricting, individual liberties, immigration, and the presidency. The League has
embarked on a Women Defend Democracy campaign to continue our work to protect and expand voting rights and processes. In the next biennium, it is even more important for us to join together to engage and mobilize voters across the country to oppose attacks that strike at the very core of our democracy and democratic institutions. By building on Women Defend Democracy and our decade of accomplishments under the Campaign for Making Democracy Work, we will be well positioned to take action in these extremely challenging times.
Thank you, Brenda. Now we will hear from Nancy Halverson, who's going to talk about elections and voting and its relative focus for us locally. Of course, it's a huge focus nationally.
Good morning, everyone. Do we still have people online?
Yeah.
Good morning to you also. I want to talk a little bit about the focus of elections and voting for the local league to focus on in this next year. All of the issues are critically important. We see what's happening around the nation, we see what's happening in our local community, and we go, we need to address redistricting, we need to address the care of our immigrants, we need to redo our whole immigration system. Everything is critical. But if we lose our power at the ballot box, none of those things are going to make any difference. We won't be able to impact them. When people join the league, we are noted for voting rights, voting activity, supporting, educating, and so people come to the league and they want to do something. And that's usually the first thing that they're interested in. So what does our league offer? Obviously, candidate forums, a way to reach out into the community, a way to spotlight our candidates, a way to educate voters so that they make an informed choice. This year is critical. In the state of Washington, we do a pretty good job of registering voters. Very, very high percentage. That's not an issue. The issue is, well, I'm registered to vote. Will I vote? That's what we need to address. Get out the vote. But in addition to, really focus hard on getting out the vote. And that means educating the people in Clark County about the importance of voting, about the importance of local activity. You know, there are times when we can't do a lot to impact nationally. We are in angst over what's going on nationally, but what can we actually impact? We can impact our local. And from local, it rises to the top. So I urge our league to focus on get out the vote, be very visible in our community this year. With what's going on with the act that was just passed and the new Make Elections Great Again Act, which the league testified against just this last week to the U.S. Congress, it's extremely scary that the rights that all of us fought so hard for can be just wiped away with the signing of a pen. Most people don't understand the ramifications of these acts. And it's our job to educate our communities about the impact that it will have on your personal rights. Our fundamental rights are being threatened, big time threatened. So I believe that elections should be absolutely first and foremost, because everything will pass after, everything flows from that. Someone this last week said, the right to vote is the floor, and from that builds everything. It's also the over-encompassing umbrella, so it's top and bottom. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Now we're going to hear from Eileen Finley about redistricting.
Can you hear me? Yes? John, how close do I need to be in to be seen on camera?
That's a good question. The screen is what people see. They don't see the camera right now.
I don't have my hearing aids there at the shop. So anyway, Irene Finley, I'm chair of the local redistricting reform committee. I'm here today to ask you to prioritize redistricting reform in this year's local planning as a voting rights issue, and with a focus on the impact of immigration on local district lines. On this topic, we have local and state expertise. We have members willing to act, to do something this year, through the Charter Review Commission, to make recommendations to the council about redistricting reform improvements. Could you do the next slide, John? The next one. Thank you. This map shows where foreign-born residents live in Vancouver, of which 59,000 are Hispanic, and mostly they live in the center of LD 49. The darkest orange or beige, right in the middle, is where the most foreign-born immigrants live. Of the foreign-born population of Clark County, the Migrant Policy Institute estimates the unauthorized population to be 19,000. Of those, 13,000 are of Mexican or Central American descent. If 13,000 unauthorized individuals and their families leave Central Vancouver, they're not going to be replaced by a different population because mostly they are low-wage, unskilled labor. If our immigrants leave, businesses don't have the population they need to keep their businesses going. A reduction of population would affect district lines. Edges of LD 49 would likely become parts of other LDs who are not anticipated to have the population loss that Central Vancouver would. Next slide, John. To bring this home, this is Dave's redistricting map showing the partisan lean, mostly focusing on LD 49. The darker blue areas and green, primarily districts with the majority of Democrats. The orange and yellow are districts primarily with Republican voters. After the apportionment at the federal level, every 10 years, the states draw new lines based on the population count, and that goes on down to the county level. If the federal government's efforts to remove unauthorized immigrants continues as they desire, on the West Coast, California, Washington, and Oregon will be the most impacted because we have the most unauthorized population in our states. Locally, Democratic voters currently in LD 49 could have their vote diluted if they are moved into LD 17 or 20. The other Clark County LDs, not CDs, could become more competitive, especially the 18th, depending on how the lines are drawn. So who draws the lines? Per the Charter Amendment last year, a county GIS employee draws the new lines and submits that to the committee for approval. The committee can choose to amend the map, but it takes 5 of 7 of the redistricting commission for that to happen. County council may choose to amend it also with a 2/3 vote approval on the changes they want to make. In other words, because a high number of redistricting committee and council members would need to vote to amend, it is unlikely that either group will amend the map the county GIS employee generates. Next slide, John. So I predict, oh, sorry, we missed one. Next one. I don't remember that one. Thanks. So I predict that these lines drawn are going to be important in the next few years. There are changes we could influence this year to the redistricting process. For example, require that the committee appointees come from the 5 different districts. Exclude from committee any current or recent political office holders or candidates. expand and prioritize the redistricting criteria, have the map selected by the committee, not by a county employee. We need to be ready for this population change. The League of Women Voters can be in the forefront to manage this change. If you vote to prioritize redistricting moving forward, today, here. Oh, and before I go, Janet, would you just stand up for a minute? Janet Landisberg is on the Tribal Review Committee, and you can talk to her about questions you have.
Thank you so much, Irene, that was great catching up. Okay, we're going to hear from Susan Fleming now on the update to the tribal study, which has been a big area for our local Clark County League.
Thank you. Before I start, I just wanted to say that Janet Hedgepath is my partner here, and she's been involved in this from before the very beginning. So Janet, want to put your hand up so people. Yeah. Okay, I have a PowerPoint here, and I'll go through it really quickly. You want to start with the first slide there, John?
Yep.
This is kind of bastardized from a bunch of presentations that you all have probably seen. But just to tell you, let's see, can you go on to the next one?
Yeah.
Next slide.
Okay, I'm trying to get to the right side, sorry.
You warned me this might not work right. Okay. There are no national positions that have anything to do with tribes, which is an issue because most of the legislation comes from the federal government around tribes. So just so you know that, we have 4 current positions in a 1981 study, which is in a document called PIA. And you can, PIA, Program in Action. You can just go to the state website if you want to see it. They're on page 19, under government. There are 4 of them. However, that study is 45 years old. A lot has happened since then. For example, the Centennial Accord, federal gaming regulations. We have now some laws that require Native American history to be put into K-12 public education. And of course, I know you know the monstrous precipitous decline in salmon, which has a massive effect on tribes. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit about what we're doing. This is our elevator speech, which actually Janet, go ahead. Which Janet wrote a long time ago. I'm going to just really quickly go over this because it gives you the essence. What this project will do, what I'm talking about now is the update to the tribal study of 1981. Updates current positions, allowing for greater ability to ally with Indian nations around issues they bring forth, and expand our membership's knowledge of tribal sovereignty and treaty rights. In fact, when this was approved at convention last year, we were given kind of 2 assignments. One is what I'm going to tell you about, how the study goes. The second is we have an obligation to educate our membership around tribes and what the situation is. Okay, how it will be done? That's the second bullet there. Study, investigation, interviews with people and the many organizations that are involved with this issue. Visits to cultural resources, I'm sure you've been to some of those, some tribal headquarters, and interviews with governmental agencies involved, such as Fish and Wildlife and the Government Office of Indian Affairs. Here's what we hope to gain. Greater knowledge, as I said, greater knowledge of the interplay between tribes, Washington State, and the U.S. government. Greater ability to be allies with indigenous peoples by advocating for priorities which they have identified. I think you already were told about how important positions are. We cannot do anything to work on policy or legislation if we don't have a supporting position. There aren't any on the federal level. We have a couple on the state level, and we feel we need some more. Now, the other thing I want to be real clear with is, what we're trying to do is make sure that we're approaching this from a tribal perspective. We're mostly white people. The writers will be mostly white people, writing for a mostly white audience. But we have to try really hard to understand how that could impact the results. Okay. Next slide, please. This is a map that'll just kind of show you where all the tribes are and where the reservations are. There we have 29 federally recognized tribes and 6 non-recognized. Okay. I'll show you all of it. Now, what is a study? These are just some of the attributes of a study. It's research-based, it's in-depth, it's based on fact. It's accurate, it's unbiased, it's credited. In other words, it's sources-based and we can prove it. So these studies are reviewed by all kinds of people before they are accepted. So it's a big deal. It's kind of like writing a thesis on something. It's not just a little thing, it takes years. Okay, next slide. Okay, the overall study process. I'm just gonna
Go through this real quick because I think you already talked about it.
planning process, adoption of the study at convention. That happened with this study last summer. Then we go through, we're on step 3 right now, which is the research, writing, and editing. And hopefully we end this episode. I'm sorry. Does this sound really weird? It's weird to me. Okay. Okay. I have to keep turning pages. Here we go, sorry. Now, the study is, of course, huge, and but you have to define your scope when you have a study accepted. So we have defined our scope. We have divided our scope into, oh, you need to go another slide.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, topic areas that we hope to cover. Economic prosperity, healthcare, education, MMIWP. Anybody know what that means? Missing and murdered Indian women and people, which is a big deal for the tribes. Salmon restoration and government regulations. So we're looking into those areas along with things like an introduction and a summary and things like that. Okay, so next slide, please. What happened to the Chinooks Nation? You all know how we started on this journey, and that is a leader of the Chick Nation approached Tracy Riley Kelly and asked for some help with their becoming recognized. They're one of the unrecognized tribes. They don't have sovereignty. They have none of the benefits that come with being recognized. This is a travesty. It's a bad joke. They should have been recognized in the 1850s. They weren't. It's a terrible problem. Next slide. The significance of federal recognition has a legal meaning. If they don't have what's called sovereignty, which is like really important. They're not, what tribes are is independent, dependent nations within the United States. So it's a really big deal to have that legal. And then there are also the benefits that come with it. In the treaties, Indians, tribes were given the perpetual permission to fish and hunt in their custom areas, which means on the lands they ceded, which is most of the state, most of Oregon, most of Idaho. Okay, so they're allowed to hunt and fish, and that goes on forever. There are other benefits such as food and education. Okay, so we're continuing with that. We're continuing to work with them. And I want just to know that we haven't dropped that ball, but we're continuing to try to work with them. Next slide, please, which is the last one. Here's what's going to happen. We'll be doing a presentation at council this summer, which is where we are, kind of drum up support and inform people about where we are. The study will probably come to you for evaluating and working on, you've done this process before. That'll be early 2027. What we hope is the new positions will be adopted at convention in the summer of 2027. Once we have those positions, we can go forward to support policy and legislation based on the new positions. So that's where we are. If you want to have questions, there really isn't anything for us to do right now. We have 20 people involved in this study from across the state. If any of you are interested in any part of this, just see Janet or I, and I'm sure we have enough work that everybody can participate on. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Susan, that was tremendous. And now we're going to move on to Ann Murphy, talking to us about protecting immigrants' rights. We're running about 10 minutes behind, so we'll see if we can't catch up after you.
No problem, no problem. This is a great example of how the three levels of league can work together. And just as by way of background, the National League adopted a position in 2008 that deals with immigration, which are all the rules and regulations of how immigrants get into the country. So that's nothing we can have a say in, but it was in 23 that the delegates at our state convention adopted a study to look at how to protect immigrant rights once they're here. And so that study was done, and the proposed study was to examine the broad scope of policies affecting immigrants and the role the League could play to ensure immigrants have pathways to economic, social, and civic engagement in the communities in which they live. I have no idea what the slides are, so let's, and you can't read that anyway. So this is the proposed concurrence that Brenda was referring to, but before it was a proposed concurrence, we have Washington state positions. So every one of these lines that start that says the states, in our state position it says Washington state will. And you can also find this on the Washington website under, well, it's in the advocacy section under the program and action that was referenced earlier. But in brief, this position says, the League of Women Voters of Washington believes that all residents of Washington state, regardless of immigration status or citizenship, should be treated with dignity and respect. This means that all residents, regardless of immigration status, I'm dropping my lines here, or citizenship, should have access to essential state-funded services, have the opportunity to avail themselves of legal representation in court and immigration proceedings, and have the opportunity to live and work in safety. The League encourages all elected officials and government leaders in Washington to continue to take action to ensure these fundamental rights. It also means that political leaders in Washington have an obligation to condemn xenophobia, discrimination, and anti-immigrant rhetoric. That's not a very brief statement, but it's a great one. And those positions there, I'll outline that a little bit more in detail. We have a fabulous lobby team issue chair in Lydia Zepeda, who is on top of this. I don't know how many bills she had, but if you saw her presentation during lobby week, it was fabulous. Okay, let's see what's on the next slide. Okay, good, you took out everything. So what we're doing here, and it was our Susan Martin, who had, and Lydia were the prime writers of the study, went through our member consensus. That's a really important part of reaching these positions, because you all read the study, and then we come together in groups to come up with consensus statements that then create these position statements. Then we can go act based on those position statements. Okay, I'm just going to do this. All right, so what we're doing now is this committee thought this was such a great plan, they wanted to take it to the national convention to allow other leagues to just concur with this without having to do the complete studies that they had done. In terms of local action, Kate, where are you? You said something that said we can act on things here, paying attention to what our local governments, our cities and counties might be doing or not doing. But nobody's working on this. So it's like, we're looking at the national level, but we also we want to be looking at the local level for things that we could do here. So, Tracy, did you have anything you wanted to say about LULAC?
LULAC is eager to work with the League of Women Voters on voting and democracy issues.
Spell it out, LULAC.
The League of United Latin American Citizens, the leading group in Vancouver, would like to come and speak to us, maybe at a meeting, would like to do anything we want to.
So probably we could be looking at some educational action, educate our own members more about what's happening here, but at this point, there's nothing particular defined, is my understanding. And I'm not in a position to take it on, so. So I think Brenda's gonna talk a little bit more about the actual concurrence process, or is it Kate? Who am I handing this off to?
I'm the transition person. Okay, okay, great. So you can talk about immigration concurrence?
Really briefly.
Okay, well, I'll just mention that, this is confusing. No, immigrants' rights. There's two kinds of votings going on today, and I'll explain the ballot a little bit once we get there, which will be very soon.
Okay, so if we go ahead one slide, Anne has already talked about this whole Washington request for concurrence. Basically, they want their positions, that was the too tiny to read slide. We want national to adopt that as a national position so that everyone nationwide can take advantage of these items to help their own immigrants in their own cities and states. Okay, so then I'm going to skip to the next slide. And we also got another request for concurrence, and this one came from another local league that's in New York State. So what we would be doing with theirs is supporting a proposed update to an existing national position. And I'm going to read you this slide, and you can see if this makes sense. This is from the League of Washington, of Port Washington, Manhasset, on Long Island, New York. And they have been joined by the state leagues of New York and Vermont and the National League's Healthcare Reform Issues Group that has members in 40 states. They are requesting that our league add a program item to the program planning survey we submit. So if you're looking at your ballots, we would be supporting the 2026 national program that I talked about earlier. We can be doing a concurrence with the Washington position, saying we want the national to adopt this. And this we would say we also want national to update its own position with these items. They are proposing an update to the national privatization position that will clarify 4 elements of the national position. These are elements that the National League has publicly supported, but they are not stated explicitly in the position, so that's what we're trying to fix. And our concurrent statement would say, League of Women Voters Clark County supports updating the privatization position by concurrence to clarify 4 areas as a recommended program item. Adopting the update would allow state and local leagues to advocate more effectively, confident that they are aligned with National League policy in number 1, because we're going to have 4 positions or 4 clarifications. Number 1, advocating for health care as a public good. Number 2, opposing further privatization of health care, which is by far our most privatized public good. And advocating as best practice requirements, both number 3, fiduciary duty to the public for public goods, and number 4, accountability up to and including deprivatization for violating fiduciary duty. So this update would make the current position more useful to state and local leagues in advocating for legislation which protects vulnerable and marginalized residents who are disproportionately harmed by the privatization of health care. It makes public goods less accessible, affordable, or available, or of lower quality and less safe. And also These benefits will accrue without any league expending additional resources. All easy peasy.
Right. Okay, thank you, Brenda. Thank you, everybody, for a really good summarizing of the issues that we're looking at. We're going to take about 5 minutes, table by table, to just talk about all of this, but let me clarify. You've got a program planning handout here, which is also a ballot. It has 2 different kinds of voting. At the top, you will see that we're being asked to support the National Democracy Campaign. That is what Brenda talked about at the beginning. Then there are the 4 positions and issues that we had presentations on: elections and voting, immigrant rights, redistricting, and tribal study. We're asking you to rank those 1 through 4 in order of where you would most like to see our county focus be. And it's tough. Yes, Nancy?
Which is the highest?
One, thank you. One would be most priority. Yeah, thank you.
Vote. One is
Right,
highest.
voting, exactly. And then the 2 at the bottom are yes/no concurrences, which Brenda just spoke to us about: the immigrants' rights position at the state and the national privatization position, which are yes/no. So enjoy a discussion table to table. If you have questions about any one of these presentations, flag down the person who made it and have them come to your table, because we're all available to answer questions.
Thanks. Before we get into deep discussions, there are a few people that we'd like to recognize. The League, as you know, is a political organization. We are nonpartisan. We do not oppose or support parties or candidates, but we do encourage our members to be politically active, and one of those ways is to run for office. So we have a few office holders today. I'd like to recognize them: Ty Stober and Sarah Fox from the Vancouver City Council, Jay Van Dyke from our Clark PUD board. And I was out of the room. Did we recognize Janet? Janet Landisberg with our charter. And Kate. Kate is a newly appointed member to the Vancouver Planning Commission.
Okay, table by table, have at it, and we'll encourage the voting to actually wrap up in about 5-6 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to post that link in the chat so you guys can use it to take your survey online if you'd like.
Thank you. Thank you. We got a noisy crowd tonight.
Yeah, we do. The room is pretty full. We got a lot of people here.
Yeah, probably, it looks like about 50 people or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't counted. We haven't counted yet. Let's see.
John, I don't see in the voting, or I'll ask anybody else, weren't we supposed to rank them 1 to 4 or something like that?
Yeah, I'm still looking for it myself. I don't have a copy of the thing, but number 1 is the first priority, and
Yeah.
4 is last priority, but I didn't see what it
But
is.
all I see online is I support the adoption or I do not support the adoption.
Oh,
I can try that and, choose I support and see if it gives me a number I can use.
Mary, when you go to the next page, then it has it so you can see it.
Okay, so I have to choose the I support. That's what I was asking. Okay. Okay, got it. Thanks. That makes it real easy.
thanks.
And I'll ask the other people online, do you guys want to discuss these at all or just vote?
If anybody would like to discuss it,
Heather, Arliss, Kathy?
Hi, it's Kathy Silsley. I'm so new that I'm just learning more about the league, so I'm going to hold off on voting at this meeting.
Okay, that's fine. And Arliss, are you talking? I think you're muted, but I could see your lips moving.
And I kind of already had made up my mind, but happy
Okay.
to discuss it if anybody has questions.
Thank you. Thanks. No, I think I've made up my mind too. The only one I was confused about is the one we're not voting on. That's the one from the New York, from a league in New York. So I'm good.
Well, I think on the third page, wasn't there something about it wasn't listed that way. It was just, but maybe I'm imagining it. There was something about
If you wanted to talk, it just said, are there other priorities you'd like our league to work on? That's what I see. On the third page was you rank them, and then there was a box for, are there other priorities you would like our league to work on? I'm sorry, I probably
Yeah, that's
interrupted
right.
you before you finished your thought.
no, I'm probably just imagining something.
Oh, wait, maybe on page 4, is that the one that talks about healthcare for the public good?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
okay, so there it is. It's the second part of 4. All right.
So
Yeah,
if
okay, I
you
did
think
remember
this
it.
is
Paying more
marked your
attention.
ballot or decided I'm gonna do this online, I'm not gonna mark this ballot today, but I'm gonna take it home. Please do so, because we're coming down the home stretch. And again, yeah, we talked about the different types of voting. Okay. If you have marked a physical ballot and would like it collected, raise your hand. We're circulating around. Oh, I think Nancy was saying that, yeah. Thank you, Nancy.
John, do you know if the survey, they're sending a link out to people who are not attending the meeting, members? Or is it just,
that's a good question.
and maybe they put that in the newsletter. I just didn't miss that. So,
Oh, yeah, possibly.
yeah.
I'll ask.
Okay, well, that's all wrapping up. I'll hand it back to Brenda for some announcements.
We had a question from Zoom. Are you going to send out the link to other members who aren't attending?
Okay, good question, Zoom. We should have made that clear. So we have paper ballots here, but if you go to the home page, if you're logged in as a logged in member, on the home page, go down, there's a picture of, can we pull up the home page? There's a link to the member survey page on the home page. Yeah, John's bringing up the homepage, I'm just gonna scroll down a little
They,
bit.
they got the link to that. I sent them the link.
Oh, they got the link to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the-
So yeah, it's just on that member survey page. You'll just click on member survey page and it will pop up, the voting
So
survey.
the question was, are other members who are not here
Yeah.
or not there today going to get to vote on that?
How long's the
Yes.
balloting
You know
open?
what I can do is I'm gonna send an email on Monday.
Okay.
To all members, reminding them if they didn't do their vote here today, they can still do it, and anybody that wasn't here can do that using the member survey page.
So the polls close on Monday.
The polls close on the 21st. You
Thanks.
have all
Okay,
this
a week.
coming week to
Thanks.
take the
I will
survey.
bother a few members. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I have some people that I know need to make some announcements. Judy Zeider or Sarah, do you want to talk about volunteering needs? Sarah, come up and talk to us about volunteering needs. If you have not logged in before, we have a volunteer module page, and I know Sarah's also collecting in paper.
Hi guys, we do have a second round of high school career fairs. Quiet in the room. Oh. I'd snap if I had it available. Round two of career fairs, there's just 3 high schools. We need 4 people. Tuesday, February 24th, 8:45 to 11:35, Hudson Bay. Wednesday, February 25th, 9 to 11:50 a.m., Fort Vancouver High School. And Wednesday, March 4th, an evening one for all you worker people, 5 to 7:45 p.m. at Camas High School. We've got Elizabeth on board for 2, so if anybody else is interested. March 4th, Wednesday. Check your calendars.
And if you're new, we'll pair you up with
Somebody. It's an easy, great gig if you feel like you haven't volunteered. Pardon? It is interesting and fun. And, as I always say, mostly entertaining. Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, who wanted to talk about Lobby Week? Was that Ann or Marlene? Lobby Week? Lobby Week, we're gonna recap all the great fun that was had at Lobby Week.
Yay, thank you all who participated in the State Lobby Week. Recordings are online of the sessions, each of the nights of that week. There's some really great ones, so go take advantage of. What I want to share with you is that we did schedule legislative meetings here, and I will recognize my wonderful help in setting up meetings in each of the districts. So Marlene did District 49. Judy Zeider did District 20. Thank you. And Susan Fleming did District 17. And I had a great team for District 18. So we had 5 of us that were at the meetings. We got to meet with both our reps and our senator. And league-wide here, you all met with all of our representatives, 2 in each district. We just had the one senator, but promised from a couple of other senators to have a meeting down the road, which is absolutely okay. So anyway, thank you all for participating, and you participate by registering. So if you did not get contacted to go to a legislative district meeting, that's because you didn't register for Lobby Day, okay? So next time, register. And what, Deanna, being prompted here by...
And you remind people it's all on Zoom, so they don't have to...
Yeah, it was all in Zoom, and it's become it's that silver lining of COVID that we get some of these great connections on Zoom. So thank you all. Marlene had a little bit she wanted to share as being new to this.
Yeah, I was dusting off some 50-year-old skills of working with the legislature to do this, and it was enormously rewarding. It literally life-altering at this time to really sit there and be one-to-one with our legislator or their aide. But we got to see both. We got to see
a young legislator in some case and also the legislator. It is so empowering, and it can be scary, but just like going to a tabling event, sign up for lobby work. We will buddy you with people. We had one person who was with us, and her job was to smile and nod. It all counts.
Are you talking about nominating committee?
Hi, I'm Kathy Morgan. So this time of the year, the nominating committee has been at work for several months, and it's our job to start putting together people who are interested in serving on the board. Okay, and if you could raise your hand, Janet and Elizabeth, Mimi, Amy, and myself, Kathy, we've been talking to folks, and this is an opportunity to get in a little deeper, to be in a leadership position. Things that are available, 1 year or 2 year terms. There's a lot of different opportunities, as you've heard today, so I won't explore those. But one of the things I really support is shadowing. So if you're thinking, not me, I don't have much doctorate, yeah you do, and really think of a 1 year position, get behind somebody that's doing something that you think, hey, I could really learn about this, like treasurer, education, activism, all of that. So I can give your email out. Yes, okay. So up until March 1, we're still collecting data on this. We've come a long ways, but if you are thinking, yeah, I would like to check this out, please send an email to Amy, and her email is Amy, A-M-Y, Easton, E-A-S-T-O-N, at alsnorthwest.org. Okay? Yes. Yes. Okay?
Thanks. Teresa wants 2 minutes.
So it's March, and it's almost March, and there's 2 big events coming up in March, and if you want to become civically involved, the first one is called You Can Run for Office. We have some office holders here. But You Can Run for Office, which will be March 8th at the Vancouver Community Library in the Columbia Room at 1 p.m. You can come, and you will get to meet politicians. We're going to have a panel. They're going to be speaking about what it's like to run for office, the highs, the lows, how you raise money, not in great detail, but just to learn more. And we are encouraging you not just to think for yourself, but think of people that you know. How can I say this? Jackie or Nancy, we always talk about this when we are planning this. We want to see people running for office who don't look just like us. So think about that. Second thing is, maybe you don't want to run for office, but you have something to say to your legislature, and that's called Speak Up School. We do a very modified version. There was a long version that was done several years ago. We do like an hour and a half. Cynthia Gardner will be leading that. We have people who have already gone through it, and we'll have breakout sessions where we'll practice the 5 points of when you want to speak up to a legislator. That's going to be via Zoom. And so you'll need to register for it, and we don't have that on the website yet, I'm hoping. It's okay, please, we need a link for that. We already have our person who's running all that, so that can get on the website really soon. And that is March 25th at 7 p.m. So it's an hour and a half of your time, and you learn how to speak very effectively to your legislature, to your legislator, or to your school board, or, I don't know, the cemetery board, whoever it is that you have an issue with. Anything. Or your husband. I haven't tried it with him yet. I should try. Anyway, thanks.
Janet is up next.
So you could actually use the Speak Up School, what you learned, to speak to the Charter Review Commission. So we meet on Wednesday night from 5 to 7, except we're not meeting on April 3rd. Anyone can attend in person, which is down at the county building on the 6th floor. Anybody can log in. and watch it. If you go to the Clark County website, clark.gov, we actually have our own little link down below with a link to the stuff. Jackie Lane has already sent in a comment on the redistricting committee. You all are welcome to submit comments. You can submit things directly to me if you want, but I think it's better to go directly to the links on the website. We did the bylaws, so we are finally gonna start next week, introducing topics that we want to have committees to review for charter review amendments. So we have Jackie's redistricting thing. There are other topics. If you all are interested, see me or go ahead and submit what you want. Thanks.
Edri has an announcement. And then I've got two more.
As you know, I'm ahead of the people that observe the election process. And so there's a lot of things that we have already gotten done because of what we're there, and they trust what we have to say. And so one of the things was to help our observers know exactly what was happening at each spot. And so the elections established a pamphlet and big signs at each spot telling what it is. However, we don't leave things go at all, as you probably might know. And so when I saw this, I'm like, well, why don't we put this in the voter's guide? So Rich is thinking in the bigger election, because he can't do it right away, that he's going to put it in there. But then I had people look at it and say, well, X is missing. And one of them was the very fine ending of the election process, saying who actually did win or whatever happened. And so they're going to put that in, but also Ellie mentioned something about step 6. And so we looked at it and we're like, I don't think it has the right word, because step 6 is reviewing scanned ballots. And so he's going to be changing that and to be saying that it's going to be resolved. And so we do little things, we do big things. And when they were developing the new election office, a lot of our input was taken. So not only do we watch what is going on and report back, and every one of my observers can probably say, ugh, but I make them do a report back after each time they have observed. And so they just don't keep it within their head. And the other thing is we know very much that we cannot tell people before election day, actually 8 o'clock that day, what is going on in the building, because we also know we need to keep that within ourselves. And we either share it with me, and I share it with Rich, who is the head of elections, or Greg, which we're going to lose. But they listen to us and they rely on us. So if anybody else is thinking of being observing elections, there is a process. The elections goes through, I think there's 3 a year now that you have to go through a process of listening to what they do at each place, and then you can become an observer. Anyway, any questions? Just let me know. It's a really important thing right now because it's very, very scary, as you know, what is being proposed nationally.
We got Tracy coming up, and Deanne is on deck. And then I will have one more thing to tell you before it's party time.
Let's have some fun. Not only are we going to have some fun today, but let's really have some fun in something a little bit different. And that would be the evening of March 6th, First Friday. She did that. Women's History Month celebration. Please invite your friends. Please bring your family. This will be in lieu of a meeting. We have many of these beautiful flyers around, so you'll be able to grab it to get more of the detail. Our state president, Karen Crowley, will be there and will be talking to us about the state's positions. We are going to have a series of mini lectures on important women who have done some great things in this community, with men talking about women. And we are going to have a reprise of the famous match game that we did last year to lots of merriment. So we need help for this, and we also need you to be there. Friday, March 6th, 5 to 8.
Thank you. Volunteer positions will be on the website this week. Yeah, you're up.
Justine Remnant, the designer.
She's awesome. I'm Deanne Finken. I'm a member here. I'm also on the state board. I'm here just to remind you it's 3 months out, but we will have council the first weekend in June in Lacey, where we had it 2 years ago. The theme is the power of us. And just as a reminder, every other year we have council, which is a shorter statewide organization, or statewide meeting, and the other years we have convention, which is what we had last year here in Clark County. So league members from throughout the state will meet in Lacey the first weekend in June for council. 2 days rather than the 3. The emphasis is more on education, I would say, at council. So there will be lots of workshops and caucuses. I know that the deadline will be coming up soon, not right away, but soon, for any groups or individuals who want to request an opportunity to put on a workshop, whether it be, I don't know, XYZ, or caucuses. So that information is currently on the State League website on the homepage, and look at the power of us. So plan now. I know people might want to carpool. It's at, I forget the hotel there, but I think there are 2 hotels right there. There will also be opportunities for homestays. I know a woman who has 2 great bedrooms with queen-size beds for free. So make that need known if that's your concern. Every other year we have council. So you know how much fun we had at convention? Well, we have to cut 1 day off of that. Okay, so it's 2 days, the statewide meeting of all members, council, then the next year it's convention, then we go back to council. So it's just not as much partying, just you. Okay, thank you. Oh yeah, we'll be electing half of the new state board. What else do we do? Well, lots of other things. Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay, before I let Kate get the party started, a reminder, or I guess an announcement, that CDM is also having a party here this afternoon. So our meetings run from 10 to noon, and we cannot stay and party all afternoon. We do need to leave at noon. Thank you. But that gives us 40 golden minutes. So, at this point, we will celebrate the League's 106th birthday with cake and snacks. And I'm thrilled to tell you that we'll have live music from Rick Hales and Clancy Kelly, who are going to set up here shortly. Thank you guys so much. Does anybody have anything they want to say before we wrap up the meeting? Okay, enjoy the party. Happy birthday to us.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. I guess you're welcome to stick around if you want to listen.
We still have some ready to pick up. We'll come around and get them.
Thanks, John.